Hey, before I kick off the podcast, I just want to shout out Next Door Clothing. Next Door, a clothing brand based out of Bondi in Sydney. They're making really nice jeans and shirts and hats. So go and check out their full range at nextdoorsydney.com. They're also artists, so you can go and check out a range of art. They put on rad parties, and I love what they're doing. So nextdoorsydney.com for the full range.
I'm having a good time.
You are?
Yeah.
I can tell.
We are rolling too.
Terrible Happy Talks. Terrible Happy Talks. Terrible Happy Talks. Terrible Happy Talks. Today's guest is Charles Mugarura, or Mugarura Charles, as they say in Uganda. Charles is a permaculture social entrepreneur, teacher, designer, and innovator. He's from Uganda in East Africa, and at the age of 27, Charles has already developed what you can only describe as a stacked resume. He is the founder of the incorporated social enterprise Broadfield Enterprises Uganda, or BUE for short, which focuses on the creation and implementation of innovative climate change adaptation strategies using the permaculture principles and ethics. Sounds complicated? It's really not. They're trying to simplify things. His organisation works with Ugandan farmers to guide and adapt sustainable food growing practices in impoverished areas, and they also deliver permaculture design courses to anyone who wants to learn. Charles is currently working with the East African government to embed permaculture principles and practices into the mainstream public school curriculum. Most notably, Charles was the recipient of a United Nations Award for Global Citizenship in recognition of his work. Needless to say, Charles can be considered a social justice warrior, in my opinion. He's someone who is taking real action to bring about real change for the people of Uganda and beyond. He's currently visiting Bali and the Green School as a guest speaker at the annual Sustainable Solutions Eco Festival. I've just spent the last week with Charles facilitating a permaculture for education course with Green School students, and it became very apparent to me early on that Charles possesses an innate empathy and interest for everyone he meets. He loves and cares for people, period. It's just so obvious. It just comes out of him. He literally would not let a single person walk by without introducing himself and asking them how they were feeling today, and then actually listening. It was awesome. Personally, I find it exhausting. He has unlimited energy, but it was so awesome to witness that level of selflessness in a human being. So Charles, welcome to Bali. How are you, brother?
I'm very good. I feel very happy.
Why?
And I'm seeing a lot of things that I've not seen before.
Like what?
The region of Bali, the people of Bali are very beautiful. The first time I slept in my room with no doors and it's a design of a house, but I said, okay, for the whole time I've been here, I've never closed my door. So it's a very amazing. People are very concerned about one another, which is really good spirit. The dark parts of the town, when you drive in other countries, the dark parts of the town are really bad. Are the baddest places. You cannot go there at particular times, which is not here. Here you move anywhere.
So that's different to Uganda?
It's different to not only Uganda, even to most parts of the country, other parts of the world. You cannot do that in Mexico. You cannot do that even in some parts of the United States. You cannot do that even in some parts of Germany, the so-called countries that have security. But this country, I've barely seen a policeman. I've barely seen a gun. I've not seen a gun anyway since I came here. Even at the airport, I've not seen a gun. So it's only countries, Europe, I've all gone from the airport, I'm seeing guns everywhere. I've not seen a gun here ever since I came here. So there is a big influence of culture and the well-being of people, security. Despite the global problems we have, there is so much to learn from Bali as a society and households. Very respectful. I've not seen any sexual expressions of people in public, which is really a legitimate culture of the African societies. There is so much we share in common with the Bali communities in terms of culture, despite the fact that Africa today and Uganda, we are facing what we call culture erosion, extreme culture erosion.
Cultural illusion.
Yeah, erosion.
Erosion.
Our culture is being, misplaced because of we have had epidemic and also war, which you could call civil wars that have taken down a bit of part of the generation that would have been of benefit to the young population.
So you're feeling there's a loss of cultural traditions and practices in Uganda?
Yeah.
Because of war?
Because of war, civil wars that we have had in the 70s, due to leadership challenges in terms of dictatorship and all other kind of things. And the new focus of government and investment on modernizations of the country has also made migration, rural to urban migration of young people, looking at the other activities of culture, cultivation of land as way less opportunity kind of stuff to do. And this also results into effects of the economy, because our economy depends on agriculture. And we find that we have government policies focused on industrialization, than investing in like agriculture, sustainable culture-based technologies. So we have not got an opportunity that is very extensive to, as a government of Uganda, to look at how to invest in culture as an economic tool to address issues of economics.
So what are the government primary objectives at the moment in terms of rebuilding Uganda after the Civil War?
I think according to...
Education?
Yeah, education is one of a big priority. Investing in human resource. I've really been very observant to the government of Uganda, and I've precisely had a relationship with a few people working alongside the government. And you can see, we have issues of corruption. These are issues underlying between low portfolio ministers at the same time with big portfolio ministers. But the government has a good vision, investing in its people, human resource, to invest in skilling the population, which is a big priority. But also we take challenges upon ourselves that the government has embraced much more copying other countries. Like, we want to be like maybe South Korea, we want to be like maybe America, which is not really the real thing, because America is struggling with a lot of problems of globalization, and we want to walk that direction. So this puts me in a position that it's a good vision, but my vision, like for the future as a young person, I feel much more relying on green policies. So that's much more of my passion, and I try to derive all my ideologies towards green policy development and agriculture empowerment for sustainable practices, and working with the parliament to see, and other leaders to see that they advance interests of green policy, and trying to show that actually with the green policies and all these other ideologies that are attached to well use of natural resources, regenerative agriculture, can empower us to be as any other, country.
Can you explain your involvement with the government at the moment? Are you part of a political party?
I'm possibly not part of a political party, and I have much interest to really define, to create a difference between who's a politician and a leader, and this is one of my priority. I don't want anybody to perceive me as a politician as I grow my career. I would like to be a leader, but my relationship now with the government is based. I'm a citizen. I'm a normal citizen who's very active in my permaculture field. But the fact that the leaders have seen the work I do, they have brought me closer to see that I can input and create possibilities that other leaders can be able to understand the idea and be of support to the work we are doing.
Are there members of parliament who identify with your vision that you've connected with?
Yeah. They are members of parliament in Uganda who have
Who have a green vision?
They really have the idea, but it seems these are old people. They have done education in the 80s, and whatever they are doing, even when they go for another lecture, they will sleep in class. Right. So it's like they need us. They need us, the young people, to be of support of them.
Are they aware of that? So they're actually acknowledging the fact they need young people.
Yeah,
they're not closed off to that.
They are very acknowledging. They acknowledge that they need young people. And if you're a good young person and you have the idea, they'll always give you a platform. But some of them don't want to go out of the offices. That's another issue. But we are trying to see that we work alongside them. However, some young people want them out. Really out. But I feel taking people out is not the solution. Is to find a better way how transition can be in place, other than
fix what's broken as opposed to replacing it.
Because we have a very big movement of young people that is really very. I would like to introvert. That the approach of introvert is not something I would really. Criticism. Facing criticism is not the best thing, but doing something and show people what you do, that they can learn from the physical end of work. Other than talking about issues, we have had so many problems in our country for a long, long time, which are manifesting also in the other countries across Africa. So people come to talk about this problem as if they existed yesterday, And the same people talking about the problems, actually, some of them have done nothing about the problem. They have not even any planted tree. They're talking about climate change. They're talking about leadership. They cannot even manage families. They are not adding value to the society. So, other than talking, creating awareness of which has an introvert element. So this biases the people about. Yes, could we talk about the government staying long or not? Could we talk about the problems or not? So my interest is not about who leads the country, but what is done for the people.
So you're saying less talk, more action?
Let's do much more action. Talk can be part of along the way, but doing as small things as we can from our own angles is a good idea.
Where did you develop that personal philosophy of, doing as opposed to just talking about it?
Think,
where did you grow up? Did you grow up in a small village? Did you grow up rich in Uganda or poor in Uganda? What's your background?
I think this is a very interesting time for me to share my real story, and I've always dreamt to do this. And my growth was. I was given birth to in a family of about 20 children.
Excuse me?
Yeah, my father had about 5 wives.
Right. Is that common in Uganda?
Yeah, today it's common for Islam.
Okay.
But in the days, I think it was common for any family. Prestigious men would prefer having more wives. That proves your reputation by culture. But at the same time, you had to have money to have a lot of wives. So
was it almost a show of wealth?
Yeah, but the wealth was in the form of cows, land, gardens. How many gardens can be,
And how much food you could produce.
How much food you can produce.
If you have 20 kids, you're going to have to produce a fair bit of food.
And sometimes you're going to have to make them work on your fields that they can produce the food. Unfortunately, my mother was the last wife in the family. And me, I was born as one child from my mom. And my mom, the time I think she got, my father, it was at the point when my father was about to die. I was born, before I made my second year as a baby, my father passed on. And preferably, I cannot say that he's like this, he's like this. I don't know how he looked like. But by that time, he had denied me that I'm not his child because. So that's the story which came to me, and my mom moved to stay to work in a school. At that time, Uganda was facing a very big epidemic of HIV.
Was she a teacher?
My mom was a cleaner.
Okay.
My mom was a cleaner in an orphanage and a cook at the same time.
At an orphanage?
Yeah, at the orphanage.
So would you be with her?
Yeah, so I moved along to be a baby. As a baby, I had to go with my mom. Then my mother, time came when I think she had to go to do much more better earning incomes at the border of Tanzania and Uganda. And that's where also I moved on with her. During the same process, I think she got another child, a little girl, who's my follower now, but in a different father, not in my father.
You still connect with her?
Actually, he's the closest child to me because he's the only sister I've ever had time with her. Like, before I was taken to the orphanage. Because I think by the time I was turning 9, I started schooling.
Schooling?
Yeah.
At 9?
At 9.
So your mum put you up for adoption?
Not really for adoption, because at first I was schooling in the nearby school at home, but I wasn't good at school. It's like I was going to school just to, because I
hang out.
Yeah, I could not read. I couldn't do anything really.
So you started at 9 years of age.
Yeah. So, but my little sister was really brighter than me, and I acknowledge that. I remember the memories because she was bright, and I was really a big dull boy around, and school was not my thing.
Like, what was a public school like then? Were they large class sizes?
Large
well
class
facilitated? Like, did you have?
I think it was also, we could sit in a down tree. We had the trees, but we also had these big blocks which were constructed by the government, but no chairs. You
sit on the ground.
Yeah, sit on a stone.
You have
to carry a stone to your class.
Stones,
yes, stone, one brick, like a brick. Yeah, you had to put
no table?
No table, nothing. And our Vaseline, I remember they used to smear me with cooking oil.
They used to what?
Cooking oil.
For what?
As Vaseline.
As Vaseline?
Yeah.
For? What do they use it for?
When after shower, I'm going to school, my mother smear me with cooking oil.
Like as a moisturizer?
Yeah, because we never had
dry out.
Because we never had Vaseline.
So what? She just get her like cooking oil and just rub it on your face.
Yeah, you just get a bit of it, smear. Then walk to school.
Is it dry in Uganda?
I think it's so common for the poor families. It's very common for the poor families. Rather than you becoming pale, because our skins could be pale and you look so like you can shower. After 2 minutes, you look like you are very hungry. You want to eat. So people will say the mother doesn't feed the children. So they had to smear me every morning. I could.
So that's a sign of a well-kept child.
Yeah.
Well looked after.
Yeah, when you are shiny and you are, that means the boy is okay. Yeah. Yeah. So.
So she'd do that, send you off to school.
Yeah. Then send me to school.
And then you stayed at school all through high school?
Yeah, I started that to almost those years when I was in that school. It's like they were not wasted, but when I was taken to the orphanage, my mom had an opportunity that she had people in the orphanage that she worked with, and they knew me as a child because I grew up there as a little baby. Then they took me. Then they brought me back to study. Then I had to really go back 3 years. So
you would go to the orphanage with your mother as she cleaned the orphanage.
Yeah, first.
Right, and then you got to know the people who managed the orphanage, and then they decided they wanted to help you get more of an education.
I think my mom requested because at that time she had another child, and she couldn't support us to take it to school. Then when she asked they gave her an opportunity to have me there. And the challenge came that it was, I think, after about 3 to 4 years having me there, my mom passed on. And when she passed on, really, the orphanage never knew my family. They never knew anybody apart from my mom. And I myself, I never had no idea. But I had an idea about my cousin, my half-brothers and all that, because I had a chance to visit them where they buried my father. But we had no connection really, because I was a little child. They're old boys, and these are from other family, other mothers who are not my mom. So, and I had to stay almost all my life in the orphanage. And I think during my time in the orphanage, I grew up. When my mom died, I felt like life is finished.
How old were you when she died?
I was, I think, around 12, around 12, 11.
11, 12.
Yeah, 11, 12. So when she passed on, like, I felt like life is finished. It was very...
Where did you live?
I could not believe.
Where did you live then, once she passed on?
I was in the school. I was in the orphanage.
So you then went to the orphanage full time?
Yeah, even before she died, I could do through school, be in the orphanage, then also go for dancing training, because I was doing music at that time. Then I was really struggling so hard with the school to make sure I get good grades, to challenge her, because everybody knew that I'm not good at school, I'm dull, like all that kind of things. Then that time when she died, I'd performed well, but I never got a chance to go home. I had to go for music training. And when I came back, I could not go home because school has begun. And since the orphanage had provided everything, because when you go for the music training, you had privileges.
What kind of music did you play?
We play traditional music, and this was part of the program to perform the United States to raise money for other children to be able to go to school.
So it was an orphanage band?
Yeah, it's an orphanage kind of program.
And what instrument did you play?
I play a long drum. Long drum? Yeah, we put it in the legs.
Between your legs, I've seen them.
Yeah, long drum.
And you hit the sides?
Yeah, and ours has one side. It has one side.
Gotcha.
It's one of the...
Like a djembe?
Djembe is a different one. But also I could play adungu.
Okay.
Yeah, and also dance. And perform some dances like a runyege, which is a male dance and all that. Yeah, I could really perform.
And these were things you did to raise money for the orphanage?
Yeah.
And just fundraising initiatives?
Yeah, fundraising initiatives, because this organization was partly based in the United States. Its offices are in the US. And they had a partnership with the owner, the sister of the organization, who owns the organization of, like, the orphanage. So...
Sorry, keep going.
So this was an opportunity that the sister invited the Americans to be able to participate in supporting these children, because they were interested, and I was one of them under the orphanage. But still, they could attach you to someone directly who would be your sponsor at that time. Right. And at that time, I had a family which was taking care of my education.
And they were from America?
Yeah, they were from America. The Broadfields family. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then at the same time, I had a good connection with when I stayed in the orphan, there are doctors who could come to treat us from America, to give us health care and all that. Then I met one of the ladies who's called Jennifer Cates. And precisely, it was really natural connection, because she came in right when my mom has died at that point, when my mom has passed on. And she gave me her contact details and everything. And all the time, whenever I was at school, before she left, I used to spend most of my time with her. Then, before she left, she really had much interest in me and taking care of me. Then, and that's when she started, taking care of me directly. But remember, I also had a scholarship from a different family, but this family was much more connected to me because they came to see
So
me.
they were more than just funding your
Yeah,
education. They
yeah.
were actually
Yeah,
like interacting with
yeah.
you.
So they gave me, and they could take care of my clothing and all that. As a child, they could send, ship number of things for me to have when I'm a child.
Which part of America were they from?
Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, so they could ship all these things directly to me, to my school, and I get them. And it was a very good time because I could not know how my life would have been at that time. They came into my life at a point when I'm really hopeless. Like, I don't know what is next with my life. I was with other kids, but I could,
Did you have good friends in the orphanage?
Definitely.
Like,
Actually, they are like brothers now. We see each other as brothers because we know, like, we came from nothing. We are just random children taken care by so many different people we don't know.
What was the name of the village that you grew up, like where the orphanage was? Like,
Sanje.
Sanje.
Yeah.
And
Today
how
I'm supporting that village. I'm running
You
a very. When we come ahead of the story, I'm now supporting the community.
Are you?
Yeah. So
How far from the capital of Uganda is
it's
it?
about 120 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, like it's 4-hour drive.
Okay.
Yeah. So 4-hour drive.
So then once these people came into your life,
Yeah.
they guided you through high school?
Yeah. They supported me a lot.
So once that they got you through high school, supported your education.
They supported education.
Do you feel they really got you on more of an academic path then? Did you?
I think during the orphanage, when I was in the orphanage, as we were studying, we are exposed to a number of skill sets. And during that time, doing music, I was a very active child, doing music, doing sports, at the same time, agriculture as a class. And during that time, there is a good donor who was supporting one of the board chairmen who was working in the World Bank and introduced a program to do with food security, run to grow food for the children to be able to improve on the diet because we are one of the children who are malnourished in the society. And some of the families could not even bring their children to stay with us because they say, those children, they are orphans. They are eating badly, eating what. So, and this guy said, well, I think we need to do something about it. Then they started a program with food security to improve the diet, also to improve the learning spaces.
Hygiene?
Yeah, hygiene and all that.
In the orphanage?
In the orphanage.
So were you malnourished at times?
Yeah. If I share you some pictures of mine, you'll be shocked. I have no pictures when I'm a baby, really. But I have one picture which I can show you when I was still in school, and you'll be very shocked.
What was your diet like then? Like
portion beans.
Portion beans?
Only throughout the year.
Wow.
Yeah. So
like, would you eat once a day?
Before, we could only eat once a day, and during the lunch, we take 1 cup of porridge.
Right.
That
would be it for the day.
That's for the day. Then you can only eat food just for dinner.
Okay.
But during lunch, from morning, from 6
a.m.
6 you take 1 cup of porridge.
Mm-hmm.
Then you take another cup of porridge at 1.
Yeah.
Then you take a dinner at 6.
At 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And that was beans.
The beans and posho.
And did you have clean drinking water?
Yeah, borehole water.
Bore water.
Yeah, just pump the borehole and drink. Yeah.
How long did that sustain you though? How long were you on that program?
We were so many kids, so life was just going on as children.
Wow.
And I can tell you that it is an experience you can never forget in your life. And whenever you remember that moment, you feel much more lucky. You feel like you feel that you need to love other people because there are people who loved you. They don't know you, but they chose to love you. So that puts me in a very difficult moment that I feel like nothing I need to own, really, as an individual. I would like to share as much as I can share.
Wow.
I would like to see other people smile,
Yeah.
just because of me. I want to be in a space and people feel, if I'm out of the space, people feel the space is empty.
It's true.
So,
I've noticed it.
Yeah, so that's my real dream, and it's something that I want to do always, especially for the children, because children don't forget. Children will never forget. They will never. I still remember the number of people who have given me things in my head, and some of them don't remember.
Do you have teachers that you remember specifically?
Very well. I visited them.
Which ones do you remember? Like, and why do you remember them? What was it about them that made you remember them?
Yeah, there is one of my teacher whom I used to tell about my dream, and by that time my mom had died, so I could not go for holidays, so I could stay in the orphanage. As one time I stayed in the buildings as one child, in a whole, like you see this green school, and there is one child inside that school, and everybody has gone. Even the house mothers have gone to be with their families. And nobody could know whether I ate, nobody could know whether I didn't eat. They can only notice that I'm around when the school begins. And I had to move to villages, to the neighborhood villages, to ask for food from other families.
And were they willing to share?
Yeah.
Or were their children priority?
Yeah, actually, by the time I left the school, I had made so many friends in the village because I was not a wild child.
You were a wild child?
Yeah. No, I wasn't like a wild child, but I would be. The communities were not bad communities. Their households, I remember I could go, they give me cassava, I go cook for myself, I go also to the bush to look for fruits. For jackfruit, I could go to the bush to look for jackfruit.
So you developed survival techniques?
Not I really developed, but it is nature. Nature can force you, not force you, but it influences you, because I couldn't let myself to die.
Because you were hungry.
Yeah, I could be hungry.
So you were doing whatever you needed to do.
Yeah.
So you were saying that you knew so many people in the villages.
Yeah.
Most were willing to give you food.
Yeah.
So even being social like that was a survival technique, because you're like, well, the more people I know, the more chance.
Yeah, the more chance you have to survive. But as a child, you sometimes it could be frustrating, and it could put me in position to know how difficult life is for me, and I wouldn't take any chance for granted. I had dreams. Sometimes I could not know whether I'm sure of the dreams really, but what I had to do is I came to a point I knew I had nobody on my side.
At what age?
I think that was 13 years.
Wow. 13
years. And my family, remember these sponsors of the scholarship, I can't have contact with them because that's an organizational management process. But I had a contact, this family, the other family which came to treat me like the doctors.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
You said that at 13 years of age you realised you had no one else to rely on.
Yeah.
What was common, and then you were sponsored, and you felt that then you had a family who were actually then helping and supporting you.
Yeah.
But what was common for people at that age who were in the same predicament as you? Would they start to go off into drug and alcohol abuse, crime?
Yeah, I have so many friends I grew up with. I've started supporting them through sports, but all of them now are drug addicts, and apart from drugs, Uganda, we have HIV as a very serious epidemic, and these are young people who have gone to sexual intercourses,
prostitution.
Some prostitution. But the boys, most of them have been affected by alcohol. Yeah, and no job, and you can see there is no transformation in their lives. You can see, I used to play with them, I used to do so. When I go back, I feel sad. You are discussing a totally different language. You are two friends of 20, maybe 1999. You had the same conversation, but today it is 2019. You are discussing climate change. The other one is discussing a bottle of beer. So you can see the big difference, and you find that you don't want to ignore them, but you want to find the magnitude of relationship. And that's how I start to be of support, buying balls. When I travel, I buy a lot of sports kit to take for these young people, because now, and I'm planning to buy their team, to be officially supporting the team.
Sponsor their team?
Yeah, sponsor the team.
Like BAU?
Yeah, BAU sponsor the team as our mechanism of marketing.
What's their team? Soccer?
Yeah, the soccer team is, it's, I think, the Young Warriors.
It's a soccer team?
Yeah, it's their soccer team. It's village-based, but I've been thinking of buying like a football pitch, land. Almost an acre is costing me $300, just 1 acre of land. So, such that I put a soccer pitch, a private soccer pitch, where they can have training, but also I can hire the grounds for other official events that can bring in money, that I can continue to grow that venture and support them to be over. Because that's what they know to do. They cannot do gardening. So if you start with what they know, then you start diversifying to show them, okay, you are doing this and we're doing perfectly now. Let's add on this. Let's add on this. There you can heal them. But when you start with something they barely don't know, it is difficult for them, because they have not pursued education. They have no idea on what it means to be a transformed person. So that's another section of group of young people. Now I can say those were my friends, which I grew up with them when I was a little child. Yeah. Is
there a lot of just feelings of hopelessness amongst them? Like they're stuck?
Yeah.
And life will never get better?
Definitely. Most of them have given up. They have given up. So it's they look, when you come and empower them and try to revive them, it's difficult for you now to go, because they'll count on you. You know, you'll be the light for them. And if you move away, it means they're hopeless at the moment. You know?
Do you feel a sense of obligation to them now? Because that's where you're from?
Yeah, I feel I have a big obligation to the young people. Very big obligation. I feel actually I have an obligation to support anybody who has like a life that is not in the right state, especially young people, because you don't know who. Transformation is real. It's very real.
When would you say your transformation really happened? I know transformation can be a slow thing, but when did you have the breakthrough where you felt that you'd actually broken out of that cycle? Because, I mean, it would have been so easy to stay in that cycle.
Yeah, I think when I got in contact, I was hopeless and had no dreams. That mother, whom really had much more connection with me the first time,
Broadfields?
Apart from the Broadfields, but the Jennifer Cates, because she had daily routine kind of relationship, which was very strong. And when my first time I got Facebook, and it's the first time I looked for her. Actually, before I looked for her, she sent me, I had the address in my suitcase, and I had kept the address for a long time, and I didn't know what to use it. Then I asked my friend that I have the address of my mother. They told me, I wrote a letter, and I walked 15 kilometers to take my letter to the post office.
Wow.
I walked 15 kilometers.
There and then back?
Yeah.
So 30 kilometers?
No, yeah, 30 kilometers. 15 to go, and I escaped from the orphanage because we were not allowed to move. And I escaped to go to another town to take the letter to my
And the
mother.
letter was asking for...
No, the letter was actually, by that time, even my grandfather died. The grandfather to my mother, so I got that information that he died. So I wrote a letter to tell them that my grandfather died and to miss them, you know. And they wrote, surprisingly, me, I had given her, I didn't know that they would write back. From nowhere, I received a reply letter through
From
my
your
head teacher.
grandfather?
Yeah, from the family in Texas.
In Texas?
Yeah.
Okay. So
surprisingly,
Gotcha.
I received a letter from them.
And it said? What
And
did it say?
and they were very happy to get my letter, and they cannot believe that it came through. It was a very big surprise, and from that time I started growing hope, because they really had much connection with me in terms of seeing how my life is and trying to see how best to grow it. And they wrote a letter one time telling me about Idi Amin Dada and what they know about Uganda, and they feel like maybe I can be a president of Uganda.
They said that in the letter?
Yeah, in the letter. And
Wow.
And
they also they said things like, we will support you financially.
yeah, they said they are there for me to support me and to help me see that I can be able to grow my career, to be able to...
Your character.
Yeah. So that time they put in a request to adopt me. They put in a request to the organization to adopt me. Then the organization refused, because the organization had Broadfields supporting me. And the Broadfields were good people, good family, very beautiful, very humble, very wealthy, and very kind. And they could write me letters, but they are much more controlled by the organization. They are much more of an organization asset towards the organization which was supporting me. So that put me in a position that my relationship was there with them, but I felt it is not really, it is at a particular... Yeah, they have much passion and interest in me to support me, but through the organization. But the Jennifer family, the Bowmans, they're directly interested in me.
Got you. The individual.
An individual.
Yeah.
As a child, growth. Okay. Not in a individual. The Broadfields are interested in the ideology of the organization.
And helping...
Yeah. Based on the organization...
Many.
Yeah. Based on the organization policy and based on their vision. Mm-hmm. Not in me as a person. Yeah. So precisely that... where do my emotions fall? So I could not have...
Well, you must have felt very special.
Yeah. So as a child, I could not find my emotional comfort. Yes, they are there paying my tuition, but I couldn't find the emotional comfort.
So you felt love directly from them through their...
I felt gratitude for the support to help me to go through school.
And it was easier to identify because it was one... Okay.
Yeah, but by the Bowman's family, I felt emotionally safe. Yeah, emotionally and truly safe, because they could do whatever they can to find possibilities to support me. They could ship on as much as they can ship for me, to clothing. Even when I was in college, they could do as much as I want.
Well, that's like my next question, I guess. So you've built a connection with this other family in the States, and they're clothing you, they're funding you, making sure you're well looked after, and obviously it sounds like they were building your self-esteem as well.
Yeah,
which I think for a child is, that's got to be one of the most important things.
Yeah.
And from that, you were at high school, and then when you were ready to graduate high school, maybe tell us about how you then transitioned from your teen years into adulthood. So what was the next move from...
Yeah, in the high school, when I started my first year of high school, that's when the permaculture project came into place at the orphanage. Before I left, 1 year before I left, and I was like in the last primary class, but I was in orphanage was my home. Every time I'm there, holidays I'm there, and they were taking me to a first school, but then the project manager said, no, Charles, I think he's very good at permaculture. He needs to be in a nearby school such that he can have an opportunity to be able to participate in permaculture.
What age was this?
Yeah.
Around 16 or so?
That's around 2008.
2008.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I started 2008, I started my permaculture journey.
So
in
did
the
you do a
orphanage.
permaculture design course?
Not that year. That year I never knew even the word permaculture. What I knew, that oil was going to be finished in the world.
Right. We're going to run
and
out of it one day.
and the world is going to run out of the crisis. The world is going to be in a crisis, and we need to find alternative solutions to grow food and plant trees. But I never had a big context of permaculture. So I started working, helping, doing the swales, doing a lot of things, everything almost.
On a particular farm, or was it a farm at the orphanage?
It was part of the land of the orphanage. Oh. Yeah, and I could do whatever I'm asked to do.
Wow.
You know?
And they were knowledgeable about
No, they could
permaculture
teach
practices?
me. Yeah, they could
or was
teach
it
me.
more like
it was
local
almost
farming techniques?
Like traditionally we are farmers, you know. We're not tilting what, but the permaculture context was doing much more of extra farming. So that means I would call that maybe those were the techniques, you know, because it was similar to farming, but in a different way, really. And if they wanted me to do things differently, I had to be taught how to do them. And me, that's what I knew. Because I wasn't good at reading things and all that, so what I had to doing, wake up in the morning, we make a program, so they will go and do. Do this, do this, do that. So from that process, after about 2 years, then they said, I think we need now to prepare you to do a permaculture course. Then they started teaching me
the principles and the ethics,
principles and the ethics, and
how to apply them.
And
so then, how did you train then? Where did they send you somewhere?
Yeah, because first we had great people. Rosemary O'Maro.
Excuse me.
Rosemary O'Maro. You know Rosemary O'Maro?
Who's that? Exactly.
She's one of an Australian permaculture teachers.
Okay.
Rosemary O'Maro. She runs Blue Mountains Permaculture Institute.
Oh, okay. I have heard of that. I don't know her.
Yeah, and Dan Palmer. They are mostly people from Australia. All my permaculture trainers, they're from Australia.
So did they come to you?
Yeah, they came to me.
Wow.
They came to Uganda, and they have been running this project continuously. And and I also had friends like Nero, Christopher, and Sharon. Those were 3 of us taking this permaculture program, and all of us were in the same orphanage. But
and you were handpicked. So they picked you specifically to work with the Australian permaculture design team?
Because we are the children having interest. You know, agriculture in our society had come to be seen as a punishment, because even when we look into the ancient days of the colonialism, agriculture was, if you do any bad thing, you are taken to the fields to dig. And so this was an activity that people, they have no option. They have to do it to get food, but they don't like it. You know?
Is it considered like something that poor people do?
Yes, as you have mentioned it. But today, the game is changing. And one thing I feel that has happened in my life is we're doing things derived on passion. I had to sit and search for my passion. But during that time, I had not really. I was doing things, I'm doing them. My friend is there. I have nobody. You know, I have nowhere to go. But in that same process, because my dream was to be a flight engineer.
Was it?
Yeah. Before I was planning to be a pilot, then I had issues with my eye checks and all that. Then I said, I think I can't be a pilot. Let me go down to be a flight engineer. And that was my line, and I was working so hard towards that, even when I was doing permaculture.
In high school?
In high school. I was studying to be a flight engineer.
Wow.
And after that, I was doing permaculture all through my journey there, and I started making money. In my high school, I started doing gigs, like jobs, getting jobs on recommendation. And go do this, and go do this. I bring back my money, invest in myself to be able to go to school, buy a few things.
When you say gigs, like you were doing just casual jobs, labouring type jobs?
Not really casual jobs, because they were arranged. They were really arranged by some of the, like the board members who knew different people across the country. They would organize for me to go because they knew.
What kind of things were they? Like, what were you doing?
Designing. I designed a property in Kenya.
You designed a
property. One of my friends' property from Belgium. I designed his permaculture farm.
Okay.
I designed a program in.
And these were paid jobs.
Yeah, those are good paying jobs for me.
But
in Uganda, no people could hire me so much because permaculture was nothing, like not known to anybody.
And that was a means to help you with your desire to become a flight engineer.
Apart from that, because my desire to become a flight engineer, it has been always inside me. Even when I was a little child,
Cool.
I wanted to be a pilot. Even I have a letter from one of my friends, because he knew I wanted to be a pilot. He drew for me planes. And he told me, one day you will fly and come to America to see me. And I still have that letter in my diaries. So my whole dream was to be a flight engineer. And I said when I was in high school, I finished school, I was already doing permaculture as my other extension job, as my other thing. Like, I'm doing it something because I'm taught to do it. And
you were naturally good at it.
Yeah, naturally doing that. I had not this big vision. I want to tell you the truth. I never had this big vision. But when I pursued to become a flight engineer, I raised enough money for myself to fly to Kenya to be able to do the exam. And I did the exam. After doing the exam, I passed it. And there was a friend of mine, one of my friends who connected me to the girlfriend who was studying in Kenya. The girlfriend received me and took care of me when I'm there. I did the exam. After the exam, I came back and I passed the exam. I paid for my entry exam. I paid for the admission, everything from my own permaculture and money.
Right.
So when I brought this document to the organization where I had a scholarship, they said, no, we don't sponsor anybody outside Uganda. So then this put me to a point that, is it what someone wants to achieve? Is it about the dream? It's about having someone study in an area. So this put me in an organization that the organization doesn't care about what's the passion of a child, but it cares about its formula and to attract. And they would say anything to someone who's sponsoring you for their interest. They say, he cannot do this, he can't manage it, because they want you to do what they want.
Because they want you to conform to what their agenda is?
Yeah, that's the right statement. And many organizations are doing this. I want to tell you the truth, many child sponsorship organizations are doing this. And that is the time when I started reiterating, like being irritated. That's the time I was started to be provoked to start digging into the detail on how these organizations work. And it brought dissatisfaction to my understanding. Because I'm passionate about something, I've done all the effort to make sure I prove to people I can do it. And they still don't, they put a position that we cannot put you here. And remember, the Broadfields were also ready to be of support for me. So sometimes the child's sponsor is willing even to pay the child to go to study in any university, but these guys will never allow you. You understand?
Frustrating.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I understand.
that's how difficult that when someone sponsors a child, it's important
So
you go
there's
and
a
meet your child.
There's a level of bureaucracy.
They are good. The level of bureaucracy that it protects the interests of these organizations. And sometimes it's a money mechanism, despite the fact they have created impact. But sometimes we feel that they are not parenting.
I see what you're saying.
They are on business. They are not parenting. They are on business.
I guess that happens with a lot of organisations once they start growing, is they start to neglect the needs of the individual.
Yes.
Because they start
Yeah,
to
so
maybe...
because if a sponsor is willing to support a child to go anywhere, to achieve the dream, why not?
Yeah.
But for them, they want to compromise on the opportunity of the child to be able...
But was it an equity thing? Like, were they looking out for the interests of other students or other children in the orphanage? Like,
I can say the interest of other children, actually, if you make me lose an opportunity, you are compromising on other children. How? Because if I go and become a flight engineer, do you know how many children I can support?
gotcha.
I can support more children. So, you thinking that stopping someone to support me would help you support other children, it's wrong. Because you are compromising the real deal of a dream. You see? So that way, I felt really, really bad, and that was really a turning point because I had to decide what to do, and I refused to go. I first refused to go to university because they told me that we have an opportunity for you just to go to a university here. If you want to go to a university here, choose.
And
I first said, I gave it some space, then I went and thought about it. It's the time I had to really reflect what is my next step in life.
okay.
Because now I have to go to university and start working, have to take care of myself, and now I'm not achieving my real dream.
Was that also... Did you feel like you had to break free from that organisation then? And was
I
going
was
to
feeling
university?
so. I was feeling that point has come to me that I maybe drop out. But when I drop out, I've got to go do permaculture continuously. And so I said, anyway, I think since the opportunity is there, let me not turn it down. Let me go to university and do something that can add value
Who did
to
you
what
say
I
that
already
to?
do.
Who are you having these conversations with?
I had one of my cousins, my cousin Derek.
And they
he-
facilitated your access to university?
No, like, I was now grown up a bit, and that's actually, that point, when I was 18 years, is the first time I saw my closest relative.
And who was that?
That
Uncle?
was my uncle.
It was an uncle?
Yeah, my uncle called Kabananuchi, Ismail. And he was living in Kampala in a very comfortable place. And I decided to go have my holiday there as I process on my entry to the university, or also have dialogues with this organization about my further step on education. But I had the sons around me, especially Derek, who was, we were having discussions about these things. And he told me, you go and do something. Maybe later you can do what you want. And that's when I said, what do I need to do? Because I was not interested in university as a person. And I said, now I'm doing permaculture. I think it's where I'm making a living. So let me find something I can do to add value to permaculture. And at that time I had difficulties like making deal businesses with the local people or local society, because you don't know how to go to ask your money in case you do a job, you can't easily. So I wanted to find a way how I grow the skill on how to operate, add value to permaculture. So I went, and also marketing permaculture. So that's when I decided to do permaculture. I decided to do a diploma in computer science.
Computer science?
In business.
Oh,
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
computer science.
Yeah, so that's...
So permaculture
Yeah.
was the catalyst for selecting that degree.
Yeah.
So you could then build a business
yeah.
that would then...
Yeah. such that I can be
You could grow and help support.
Because I was not willing, I was not interested to go into the world like with another career, because I didn't feel like it's worthy my choice.
What wasn't working?
Like, I didn't feel like it was worthy for me to go and study other things. They were not part of me, like they were not me. I didn't feel them in my heart in any way. And people would select for you, go and do medicine, go and do this, go and do art and this. But, so I had to sit and search myself, and I said, if I cannot be a flight engineer, and I asked myself, what are the reasons why I want to be a flight engineer? And the answer was in my heart, I want to raise as much money as possible to be able to help people. So I tried to think more and said, okay, it seems my motivation to become a flight engineer is based on money, But at the same time, I had love for it. So money and love and all those kind of things. But then I said, I'm already doing something. I'm already helping people, feeding people. Because by that time, I was doing a project in the urban areas, but in the slums, to help elderly women to set up carbon gardens where they don't weed and they use less energy to have food. So, and that made me have joy. And I said, I'm already helping people. And I think I don't need to wait to get too much money to help people. I can focus on scaling permaculture and help more people now before I become a flight engineer. So that's why I got courage. I got more courage, and I went to university. So
you went to college.
Yeah.
To help you to be able to get into university?
In Uganda system, we don't have like colleges.
Okay.
We have from high school straight you go to university.
Do they base that on your academic results in high school?
Yeah.
They still look at that?
Yeah, I still had to do,
So you were still able to achieve results that...
Yeah.
Okay. So you focused in and...
I went into the high school, I do the education, I got the university paper. But remember also my permaculture PDC, I did my permaculture PDC after like 4 years. Like I did my permaculture PDC in 2010.
But you were already working.
Yeah, but I was already working in permaculture. And that qualification was from Australia. Yes, with Blue Mountains Institute of Australia under Rosemary Marrow and cool. Dan Palmer.
Palmer.
Yeah, Dan Palmer. Okay. Yeah, so going into high school, I was really already mature. Like the brain was much more, because I'd done my PDs already, and I was looking into really tangible solutions. And I started a club in my school, designing the school, and I planted a lot of flowers. When I go there, it's a flourishing place. And
did you get known as the gardener guy?
Yeah, people really know me for permaculture in my country. Talk about Charles, they can. Are you talking about permaculture? Are you talking about the permaculture guy? Are you talking about the permaculture guy? So people know me like that now.
So what was university like for you? I mean, someone that I really identify with that comment you made about not being academic.
Yeah.
You like to get in and be hands-on. I mean, that's me. I was the same at school. I couldn't sit still for longer than 10 minutes in a classroom. I'd go insane. I like to get in there, get my hands dirty. Yeah. So when you got to university, what was it like when you had all these academic studies, especially was it computer science?
Yeah, university was a very big adventure.
Party?
Very big adventure.
You partied, didn't you?
And I did a lot of things there, and I think it was also my turning point of life, because if I did any mistake down there, I would have not been like today, I went into university focusing on growing my permaculture, skill set, because I had jobs during the same. I was looking for opportunities within the country, and I got to work with missionaries to design to work on the land site with some community on the land site when I was in the university.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but within the university setting, as an active person, I got involved into the leadership, politics of the university, as being part of
You joined some groups, clubs.
Yeah, especially for leadership. And within this process, there's a competition came up under Barclays Bank, and I wrote a competition, essay competition, and I became the second. The competition, then I was recruited into the Barclays Bank mentorship program of the university. And
mentorship program.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, where
and what did that mean for you?
It was
access to money.
It was access to skill, but also to some little support. And since I wasn't the second, the first guy won the money, almost all the money. It was So us, we were offered a training, which was very fine. And during that training, it's when I defined my abilities. I tried to really see that I cannot underestimate what I have, and I can use what I have to start creating change. And that's when after that training, my principal of the university, who would be the vice chancellor of the university, gave me an opportunity to be working into his office. And I was working in the legal office in the university.
Of the head of university?
Yeah, and
the
at the
legal
same time,
office?
Yeah, of the head of the university.
You don't have a legal background?
Yeah, but I was an intern there as a leader. I was in. I took a Barclays Bank leadership program.
As a specialist?
No, as an intern to support to grow my skill. Yeah, it was a good intern which had privileges, and that time I had a very interesting part where I was on the university, but I was sleeping on the block on the top at a hostel, and I had this girlfriend I was admiring. And she was on the lower floor, and this girl was very smart, fancy, but not so fancy, but like where the poor boys around the block, looking in shorts or in the lousy clothes, like lousy boys around, and no girl would say this guy is fake. This guy is fake.
Who? You or the other guys?
The girls.
The girls?
The girls could say that I'm fake guy, like me and my group.
Why? Because you had the hots for this girl?
No, because I love the girl. Yeah. And this girl couldn't love us back could not love me back because I'm
Why?
Poor. Yeah, I'm a broke guy. And this, we have university students, you have the rich guy kind of guys. But
so you were now mixing with people from different socioeconomic.
Yes. So when I won the Barclays mentorship program, the principal gave me to come with the privileges, having a few things shopped for you, to be able to fit on the intern. Because I was going to work with the legal people.
So you got a bit of a status?
Yeah, you have to be smart. Yeah, and so my timetable changed. Yeah. I used to stay after class. I could go back to my balcony and spend a few hours looking at the ladies down, walking. So I never had that time anymore. And the girl who used to see me all the time, never couldn't see me now. Then they could see me in the evening coming in the suit.
And now they like you.
Yeah, now they say saying, what is happening with this guy?
Who's that guy?
Yeah, so they say. So until they started maybe noticing a few changes around me, and then the girl started coming to me.
Yes.
To me. But by the time she came, I had lost interest anyway. But it is a very nice time to learn
university.
People. Yeah, and also I had an addiction in the university.
To what?
To alcohol. Okay. Time came. I had because I was I had much more female friends.
How do you know you had an addiction to alcohol?
Because I had female friends who would really put up parties a lot.
Parties.
Yeah, and they had really rich boyfriends. Me, to become a friend to the girls, I was much more good in class. In class, because I was doing work of year 2 students when I'm in year 1.
Right.
I would do work for degree students when I'm a diploma student.
Yeah.
So I would do their coursework, and they pay me they pay me money. So that was one way of surviving. And also to make me fit in their group, they could invite me for parties as an MC. Because, and my pay, because I was cheap, my pay was alcohol. They could not give me any.
So you were on the mic, hyping everyone up at parties.
Yeah, at parties.
So,
especially birthday parties.
You had the new job, the new internship, so you were becoming more popular. So everyone wanted you at their parties.
Yeah, apart from that.
I can so see you as the party master.
Apart from that, before even I got the job, I was good at classwork.
You were good at classwork?
Yeah, I became good at classwork, especially on finance, a bit of finance. So there are some subjects I was very, very good at. And these, the girls could come for help from me. And I was not a bad person. I could teach them and for free. And when they want me to develop reports for them, that's when they had to give me some cash. So, and I could make money.
So you were helping people with their school, doing their homework for them, and they were paying you in alcohol. And then
they pay me with the party, sometimes alcohol, sometimes cash. So it depends on what I want.
So you were cashed up, you were wearing a suit, you're the MC at parties, you got chicks after you. So,
I hope my mom will not hear this podcast because she doesn't know that.
And
he doesn't know. I've never told anyone about this.
That's hilarious.
But it's good. I'm happy now that I can say it because it's a lesson. It's a process.
So when did you realize, like, hey, I'm drinking too much? Or did something happen? Or
the girls would take me, they would invite me. After all the party thing, I started drinking. They put jugs of beers, punched what, so even some little weed. And when I drink too much, of course, I find myself, they tell me in the morning that, you man, they brought you here last night. You can't remember. When I can't remember anything.
So you're blacking out.
Yeah, so, and sometimes I could even vomit in my bedroom, you know. I woke up in the morning when I puked. I say, oh my God, this life, you know. And one time I was drunk when in a few days I had a paper. Like I got drunk before the paper, and the paper was in 4 days.
Oh, okay.
An exam was in 4 days.
Exam.
Yeah.
Yep.
But these other 4 days, I was still drunk. The alcohol I had before 5 days, it had an effect on me for the last 4 days. And I went an exam like I was drunk yesterday.
Okay.
So that was the turning point when I said I went back to my room, and I've never failed an exam.
Did you fail that exam then?
I failed that exam.
Okay.
But luckily enough, many failed the exam.
Do you drink now?
No, I don't drink.
So since then, you've stopped drinking?
Since then, I really stopped drinking. But the turning point of how to stop to drink, I had friends of mine saying, we hope you can stop. I told them I'm going to stop. And they said, we don't think, Charlie, you're going to stop.
Because so many people struggle with it. It's a big problem.
Then I got a piece of paper. I locked myself in my room. I got a piece of paper. I said I need a moment of reality.
Of reality?
Yeah, a moment of reality to myself.
Yeah.
Because I asked myself, today, my mom, whom I call my mother, she's in the US. These girls, they have done their best to bring me here. And they are away now. Who can take care of me in case I continue to drink? And I have nobody to take care of me. So it was time for myself to help myself. And I got a piece of paper. I wrote alcohol as my topic. And I wrote advantage, disadvantage. Then I said I must be honest with myself. I started writing the advantages, all of them. And I started writing the disadvantages, all of them. And the list of disadvantages was big than the list of advantages.
Okay.
And simply I had to decide. So that's how I come to say there is no addiction. I don't believe that addiction is there. The equation of overcoming addiction lies in the equation of decision. You decide and you stick on the decision. And you fight to make sure you fulfill the decision. That's how I did overcome.
Like, do you like identify with a religion or some type of spirituality? Do you have spiritual practices?
I have. I'm a Christian, and I've born as a Christian in Anglican Church, and I've always said to myself that I don't want to impose religion on anybody, and I don't want to always move around show people that I'm religious. And I've always believed that there is God. I believe, and I don't want to change my religion because I don't want to be punished by God, by someone bigger God. If I have done a mistake to be what I am as a Christian or to be an Anglican, that is a punishment of my parents because they are the one who baptized me. And if I change my religion, I'm going to carry the burden, or it would be the punishment. If that means I've transited to another religion with my decisions and my choice, by my choice, meaning my parents have no cross to carry. So, me being a Christian, whether it's a wrong thing or good, I feel it's not my problem.
Well, the reason I ask is, I mean, you were talking about your problems with addiction, and you laid out so simply. It was like, I did a pros and cons list, and the cons outweighed the pros, and it was like, there's my answer. And the reason I ask is, so many people really struggle with addiction, and many say that they had to have a spiritual awakening to be able to find the strength to overcome that addiction, as opposed to sort of what you're saying is like you felt like you did it purely on willpower.
Yeah, I think we as individuals, the more we accept our minds to be controlled by other people or manipulated, the more we're going to be manipulated even in our actions. You continue to believe that there is some other power to help you overcome, yet you have the power. The power lies within you. The power to say something and claim it and work towards it. That's the special power within you.
And there's many people who believe that like their higher power or their God exists within them. So, you know, maybe for some people that is what their version of a God is. There's that tapping into that power within.
I think also this is one thing we can talk about very, very critically, because many people, like we have Christians in our country who spend all day praying and believe they are going to be rich. And they never be rich. So prayer does not lie in the equation of success. Prayer lies in an equation of doctrines and kind of other kind of, religious forms. But it's not an equation of success. Equation of success is decision, understanding, getting the understanding, and make a decision, a well-formed decision. Because the decision determines the next step. It's like the countries, like when you look at a country like Zambia, which has been doing coal mining of gold and other minerals, the government could not sustain the mining. They felt it's a big job, burden, and they sold the mines to the other companies, and the companies were able to make the money they requested in 1 year. But the company insisted to keep paying the money as agreed in installments. These guys invested their money, they got the profit, but they are using even the sum of the profit to pay back to the government. So was that Zambia could not take on its mines and invest in it or run the mines? So it's a decision. Equation. It's an equation of deciding, and religion has an influence on culture, on other forms, on other which we would call the attributes of success. Socially, it creates an environment where you are socially acceptable in that kind of form. But still, your decision has the major influence, because decision creates a direction. It doesn't create destination.
The decision creates a
direction.
A direction.
Yeah,
okay, it does.
of your path. but it doesn't create destination, because you have attached decision with actions.
Is that the process you've always gone through in your life so far when you make decisions? Pros and cons list?
Yeah, I think I've been responsible for my life most of the time, very responsible for my life, because every decision has to come back to me.
I know, but where does your goal come from? So you're making decisions towards what? What's guiding?
Yeah, so I started looking into how my mom sees me, my mom talks to me. I started feeling guilty of myself if I don't really become whom I dream to be. It will be a very big disappointment.
So you ask yourself, when you make decisions or when you're thinking about what direction you want to go, you ask yourself, what would my mother think?
What would my mother think?
Wow.
And
it's really nice.
This is a woman who flew back to come to see me, just me. Flew back from the United States, not to go to tour.
Your United States mother, not your biological mother.
Yeah, not my biological mother. Jennifer Cates.
Jennifer Cates.
And the husband. They flew.
What was his name?
Jennifer Cates and Bowman Carl Bowmans.
Carl Bowmans.
Yeah, it's the Bowmans family.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy flew back to come to just spend time with me, to see how I'm doing, to see how I'm going. And they contributed a lot when I was when I developed the business. It was quite unbelievable to anybody who knew me, because as you knew my background, my weakness as a child, nobody could expect you to grow at that point. However, people have hope. Like my mother, Jennifer, had much hope in me to be a great person. And you would see when she talks to me, after talking to her, I feel like my journey has begun. I feel like, the world is out there for me to do things better.
Because one person believed in you.
Yeah, so her believing in me was very significant in my life, because it could motivate me to always be the good person. It would keep me focused. It could keep my focus. Just her words before talking to me, after talking to me, I just get my books and do my homework, do everything and make sure everything is done on my table and wait for another day. When I stopped drinking, is when I started having ideas to start a permaculture business.
So, you say you don't drink anymore. Do you feel like since you made that decision and sort of hit that rock bottom and had that time in your room to really think about it, do you feel like your life has gone in a better direction since then? Yeah,
I think also having a decision, having within you an element of resistance to say no to things is a maturity. Puts you at a level of maturity where you see other people enjoying something and you cannot do that. So maturity, having values, is a sense of maturity. So to that point, it was a point, I think, when I started growing values. I say, I cannot have this, I can have this. I cannot have this, I can have this. Yes, I love this, but I cannot get it now. So that's maturity. So in that case, people who cannot have those lines, you find if you cannot have that, he will steal. If you cannot have this, he will do anything to get something. So that way, it helped me a lot. And I focused. I started building, I started developing a permaculture project proposal as I was working in the principal's office. And when I talked to the principal about it, he told me, that's a good idea. You may not need even to do as much education as you think, but it's something very interesting that it comes out of your passion. So that point, I really started looking at my life. What is my passion? And if my passion is to see and helping people, then I've got to do something about it. Yeah, but I can help people as well when I'm making a living. So that's when I started developing, how can I develop permaculture in a business sense? Can I make it as a mega commercial intense business? I said, no. I think I can be a social entrepreneur.
And this was after university?
No, I was in the still
during
in,
university?
yeah, I was still in the
You
university.
started BUE during university?
Yeah, I started BU when I was in university. Before even I thought of graduating and all that. I started BE when I was still in university, and my friend from US called Dan Lovey, who saw me when I was about to 12 years, I convinced him after a very long discussion of about months to invest in my business, and he gave me the first startup fund.
Some capital?
Yeah, he gave me capital, and he hired a lawyer for me.
So maybe you could explain to us, like, from getting an investor to where BEU is now.
Yeah.
Tell us about the story since then. What's it grown into? How many people do you employ?
Yeah.
What sort of space do you have?
Yeah. So from that time when I got a lawyer, did all the work to register the business and all that, I said, okay, now it's time to go out there to start doing work. I started by running permaculture, benchmarking on my other projects, trying to follow them up. But at the same time, I started doing permaculture in schools. I went back. By the time I went back to the orphanage to visit them again, I found when Children of Uganda, which was supporting them, exited the project.
Children of Uganda, it was an organization.
Yeah, which was supporting that orphanage, exited. And everything went down like this. So the project which was there also failed because no management and all that. So I went and I started taking on that project slowly, trying to penetrate to see that I can revive it. That's how I started getting involved in other organizations, where I went and designed how to introduce permaculture to people without telling them that it's permaculture. That's the curriculum philosophy. And I worked on that solution with a professor from Australia who was helping me with it. And that is Prue Gill. Prue Gill. Gill.
Prue Gill.
Yeah, she's also an Australian professor. And she knew me, and they worked on this solution together with me. And I used this solution to develop projects for different NGOs. Wow. And that's how the Global Citizens identified me. Gotcha. Yeah, so, and between that, I was still struggling to put up the permaculture business on the top of it, because the CD fund was just to stimulate legal processes. The CD fund I had from my friend was for legal support.
Gotcha.
Getting the company registered and all that and all kind of things. Then I was trying to work with the different NGOs in partnership to develop solutions based on using permaculture tools. And I developed teen mothers food, single mothers feeding program, where they can grow much more nutritious foods for their babies and in small spaces in their homes. Then I also designed the reusable pads, using much more recyclable pads.
Menstrual pads?
Yeah, for girls in one of the organizations.
You guys designed and produced those?
Yeah, and now it is a product on the market there.
Uganda?
In Uganda, yeah. So that's how I come to be part of Global Citizen, to get that award. Then I also supported We Farm, which is a UK-based organization.
We Farm?
Yeah, We Farm, which supports farmers to be able to share information, questions and answers, to also markets. And it was based on mobile application platform, which uses USSD system.
USSD?
Yeah, where text. USSD.
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, that's a coding language in ICT.
And it's a communication method, is it?
It's a communication method for text.
Text internationally?
No, locally.
Locally,
yeah.
Okay.
But free texts.
Free?
Yeah.
For farmers?
For local farmers. Okay. Asking questions and getting answers of the problems.
So connecting them.
Yeah, so in that process, I was summarizing my university. Then I developed my own application system, which is a permaculture app.
You did?
Yeah.
Great.
And
it was like
yeah,
the
so
BUE.
I'm actually strongly very good in system development in terms of getting a problem and write the system. Yeah, so I did that, and I worked with a few programmers to develop the application. But it's me who wrote the system.
Okay, so it's an app.
Yeah.
Someone has a problem.
Yeah.
They put it in the app.
Yeah.
You get the problem.
Yeah.
You write a solution.
Yeah, I reply with a solution. At the same time, they can order fertilizer from me, because I started thinking, what products can I put up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fertilizer. That's how I started working on a prototype of a fertilizer that I have today.
Great.
So I started working on that prototype since 2016.
Okay.
And the prototype is getting approved this year.
Okay.
To be a product. So within that period, I had to, because I was moving out of the world to the world, to start surviving by myself, and I had to find a way to make sure I make myself stand and make sure I represent what I represent. So I worked for many different organizations that really wanted to drive me into different career processes, like maybe be a reproductive health expert, and that was not me. So I was always reproductive health.
Reproductive health.
Yeah, okay. Expert in
Which
for young people.
Is something that's really needed in Uganda?
Yeah, it's something. It's a problem because we have so many teenage pregnancy. We have a lot of sexual infections, and young people doing abortions, unsafe sex, and all these kind of things. But also these kind of problems come as a result of young people being not empowered. So much more, I designed problem solving based on empowerment of income generation, empowerment on wealth, food, empowerment of creating abundance food, because some young girls go for sex just to get money to buy food for their children. Yeah. They go just to get money to be able to feed their children. So if you teach them how to grow the food, that means they cannot have chance to have this sexual kind of harassment or go for sex, sell their bodies.
Not placing themselves at as much risk.
Yeah, so, and Africa becomes a very big, place that young girls can be taken of advantage, because the level of poverty are very, very high, and having just something to eat is an opportunity, especially in the city. It's very difficult. So with that, I was very, very able to do some of the work, but it was a quick movement, because I was planning so much to focus on my permaculture as much as I was giving attention to different projects. And that's how I started pitching my ideas. I pitched the permaculture app, it didn't go through to so many people, because many didn't understand permaculture. I was talking about the solution I'm providing, and people say, what's permaculture? I said, permanent agriculture, a resilient approach to replace or to repair agriculture and other systems that are broken. So,
can you repeat that? Because I get asked that question a lot too. Like, what is permaculture?
Yeah.
And people go, and it is quite simple, but I love to hear different interpretations, and I think that interpretation was just perfect. So when people say to you, what is permaculture? You say,
I tell them. Before I even tell them a definition, I try to break it. Yeah, I try to say to them permanent agriculture, permanent.
Easy to understand.
Permanent culture, and permanent agriculture. You really have permanent and agriculture. So it's a system that is there not to go; it's to stay. Meaning, it's a system that can sustain itself. So, and people say, we have never heard about this. What is this? And then look. This is a system that has existed since the 1970s, innovated by Bill Wilson, and as a result of heavily industrialized agriculture that is a threat to the future. And you can explain all this. So, how does it work? It is based on principles of design, and it has its independent ethics, and you can design different solutions for different problems. So what I want to be able to distribute this information and the skill set to local farmers, at the same time provide organic food, organic agro inputs. And I could be standing in this process, but it's challenging in Africa that they bring people on the panel, a doctor to listen to an agriculture solution. Someone who is a medical doctor is listening to agriculture innovations. So there is a lot of confusion, and that has limited so many innovations of young people. So that's why I pitched. Then I designed another solution using carbon gardens to grow coffee.
Carbon gardens?
Yeah, carbon material
Yeah.
to grow coffee in dry lands using less water. And that's how I got my first grant from USAID.
So at your farm, because it is a farm you have.
Yeah, now I have a
Do you-
farm. I started with a zero. I was empty.
How big is your farm
My
now?
farm now is about 4 acres.
4 acres.
And I have another property which was given to me by my friend, whom I call an Aunt Beatrice, and which is 3 acres. And that's where it's near the town. So I'm developing it as a seedling breeding point to be able to supply seedlings, indigenous and fruit trees to the community and to customers. But at the same time, it's a center where I'm breeding all the seedlings I'm taking to my farm to develop my other farm, which is far end, also along the River Nile.
Do you have permanent employees that work for you?
Yeah, I have.
How many
I
do you
have. On my other farm, I have 3. On the other one, I also have 3. On the school property, I have now 4. On the school property in Sabine, I have 4. Then a core team of 3 and other extra 3. So meaning the team that operates in camp office is a team of 7.
Okay.
Plus the other 6, 7 plus 6 plus other 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Do you-
about 12. And I pay these people. We have.
And they're actually.
Yeah. They are employees.
So your income is generated through running permaculture design courses.
Yeah,
You said you're developing your own type of fertilizer.
Yeah, we have a fertilizer which I sell, but sometimes I also go out and I train people on an alternative if they cannot afford that fertilizer.
Okay.
But our courses make a lot of money because I can make a profit of 14 million Ugandan shilling, which is quite a lot of money in dollars. I don't know how much.
I was going to say, can you do the conversion?
The conversion of
You know, I'm going
dollars.
to do the conversion.
Yeah, you can divide 14 million into 3700.
14 million Ugandan shillings. Is that what they call
14,
it?
yeah. Divide into.
Okay, so in rupiah, that's 53 million. So
No, you see, the whole course I can raise about 54 million in the whole
in
course.
rupiah, I'm talking rupiah now. So the Ugandan shillings, you said 14 million.
Yeah, 14 million Uganda shilling,
Okay.
and that's my net profit really.
For
A course for one PDC course.
Great. Okay. So
And,
that generates
Yeah,
income for
it
you.
generates income. It can pay my workers for almost 6 months. But the last course, I invested all my net profit into scholarships.
Okay. Scholarships for young people.
Yeah, only
to
young people to
do permaculture design.
Yeah, to do permaculture design course. And I gave 11 scholarships.
11 scholarships.
Yeah.
So
With
do
the
you
also
have-
help of Mora Gambo.
So
Mora Gambo from Australia was my supervisor. Since I'm very young, upcoming permaculturist,
they come and assist with it.
yeah, they come to supervise my course and co-teach. Like I'm teaching a PDC, but every time I also have a separate class
Gotcha.
with my supervisor.
Are you getting people visiting from overseas to
Yeah,
do the course, or
yeah, I
is,
have,
is it Ugandans who
I
can
have
afford to do it?
I have people from all over Africa who come for my course, my courses, and some from Europe as well. Because when I was in Poland teaching, many people came for my.
So you went to Poland for the Young Global Leaders Conference.
Yeah, starting working with the COP and all these events that are international came as a result of USAID having given me that opportunity, a grant, giving me office space, They paid for my office, paid for my consultants. If I want any consultant, I get straight away. Highly qualified consultants working for the best university in my country. I have access to them. I have access to recommendation to any office, whether State House, whether what, I can go to any office. So this is a prestigious innovation hub, where they paid for my office space and for mentorship for my team and all these kind of things. So this improved my business so much to the extent that today when I produce coffee, I produce my own coffee now.
Can you sell that?
I have it here. I'm going to exhibit it.
You haven't given me a cup of coffee yet. Last
I
week,
definitely.
making me slave away in the garden, and you didn't offer me a coffee.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I've given Jameson to share with the high school teacher. I've given Kylie to share with the colleagues. So I'm yet to give you one of that pack of coffee grown by our farmers.
So look, so intriguing, and I mean your story, your upbringing is just amazing, and so different to where I've come from, and many people that I know have come from. You now have your social enterprise, which seems like it's really gaining momentum. And you're currently here in Bali to promote your cause, would you say? What's your agenda for being here at the Green School? What do you want to... Well, I shouldn't say the Green School. What's your agenda for being in Bali? Is it to grow your knowledge and understanding of a different climate? Is it to promote your business? What are you here for?
I can tell you that one of the greatest things that can ever happen to a teacher is exposure. Exposure where you are exposed to learning of new ideas. At the same time, an exposure to me as an individual, my passion to create change. One of the motivation to come was about the children, because when they came to Poland, as I've done other conference workshops in Germany when I was teaching in Germany, and I come to teach in Poland, and how I see the momentum of the workshops and the trainings, I felt so passionate about the children who flew from here to come to be part of that conference and the change they want to make. And when you see them attentive, listening to you keenly, asking questions, trying to be concerned to explore, it was a big motivation to me. And I felt at peace. I said, okay, there is another part of the world where I have young people who are really very concerned about this issue, which are my passion. And apart from being my passion, it's my career. Climate change.
It's your career.
It's my career to develop these solutions and to work around showing people how permaculture can be a very strong catalyst to address climate change, to address the sustainable development goals, to address problems of today. So when I saw this, I said, I must come. And because the 45, 20, 1 hour minutes which they had in my class, I felt it was less.
You needed more time.
Yeah, I need more time. And the fact that I had an engagement with Jason and I could see what work is happening.
Goodsman.
Yeah.
He's a guest on the show as well.
Yeah, and to see
what it's a show now.
The work they are doing, children running, participating on building a construction project where they are not professionals, but they are learning and they perfect the work. So,
and they're sponges.
Yeah.
Who can be shaped and molded.
Yes. So it was a big motivation for me. Their love, the way the attitude of approaching me, wanting to learn, that was a very strong motivation.
You don't see that with Ugandan teenagers?
Yeah.
It's not as common?
Not so common with the young people. But as far as we are going, parents are noticing that it's becoming too late for them to create change. And all what they have are the children. So they feel good. When I talk out there in Uganda, parents just want to invite me to their houses to talk to their children. That means they wish if I was their son. Some of them we wish I was their child. And they would love to see their children at least having a vision for other people. Some parents have done so much wrong that they feel they can't correct it. They have done so much wrong, they feel they have no hope to correct it. And the only way they can is helping the children to do the right thing.
Making amends.
Yeah. So that is something that brought me to Bali, that I can share what I have, as well learn as much as I can from the societies here. And it has happened because everything I've found here is totally different from many societies I've visited. And the having a bamboo structure where you guys have proven, I've not seen these structures anywhere. And I've always dreamt about this. People have always told me, please, Mr. Charles, when we produce the first design of our school, I will show you it is concrete, but what I said, what makes it sustainable, because it's what I was exposed to, I said, I'm running the building with solar. All the waste management system is going to be eco-friendly, using grey water systems, harvesting all the poo-poo, the feces, to reuse them as fertilizer, filtering the waters, all these systems. Having top roof gardens, having vertical food producing system on this concrete house or school. Yeah. So that's how, the only chance I had to defend myself. But now here I come, I learn a new design system for housing where I can have only bamboo as a house, as a class, as everything, as an office.
Yeah, there's not many schools in the world that are of this size doing what it's doing in terms of sustainable practices in a school setting.
Yeah, so it is I've not seen in this kind of school anywhere. People have asked me about the super dobby. I didn't even know what a super dobby is, but I had an idea. And it's my first time to say super dobby. I'm in a studio with super dobby.
Super dobby?
Yeah. The studio here is in super dobby. And this, in Africa, people are fighting, struggling. They hire. International schools are hiring people to fly from Thailand, from America, from where, to just come build this design. And what does this mean?
Effectively a mud brick.
Yeah. My visit here means what? Means a collaboration. Now I can design a catalog with an arrangement of people who did this here and take this to Uganda as a product. They see it as a mere thing. The children did this. There is a young man here called Saith. I think he's one of the young people on the project, on this Spadobi project and the roofing. And
excuse me, sorry, what did you...
You have a student here,
yeah,
whom I have met in a couple of days, Seth.
Yep.
Yeah, who has been part of this project for a very long time. And his skill set is almost growing. And this puts me in a position that there is a possibility that there is transfer of innovation, transfer of skill. Instead of hiring people from far, we can hire these very young people to do this kind of projects.
Seth's a good example. He's going to walk out of this place with
No.
like practical skills that go beyond most adults.
And we have started already negotiating an opportunity to have him as to run one of these. We want to build play spaces for children in schools, and also put play spaces on our permaculture project, which is going to have a permaculture arboretum.
Yeah.
So another thing I am passionate about is looking at today's designs of agriculture and transform them into a permaculture sense. When I look at an arboretum, which has...
Excuse me?
Arboretum. You know an arboretum? You know my English is also not to the best.
No, that's fine. You've been great to understand. Considering English is your second language.
Yeah, so...
It was...
Arboretum. A-R-B-O-R-E-T-U-M. Some arboretum.
Okay.
A collection of trees from different parts of the world.
Okay. Right.
I think
I've heard that before.
Yeah, apart from a collection of trees in a different place, and I've seen different arboretums in Britain where I've all been in countries, they are not multi-purpose. They are single value systems.
Okay.
Where people look at them, beautiful, good air, beauty of a man. But the arboretum I'm talking about, which is a permaculture arboretum, is a streamlined arboretum that is based on design to create abundance of food, abundance of medicine, abundance of ecological systems, and abundance of safe space of learning. So that's the kind of a permaculture arboretum would look like, where you have trees, document them, show botanical name, show the local name, show the uses, show the number of tissues, show the age, the years of growth, show details about a tree. When someone flies from Jamaica...
But then link it to a climate?
Yeah, link it to a climate, design it in a way it serves ecological systems, it harvests fruits, it gives medicine to the people. So in the way that it's a multi-function system. So agriculture of today, agriculture which is designed in universities, at most time is a single-lined value system.
A monoculture.
Yeah. So we don't need that system anymore. The future doesn't need that system.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. So and we are seeing good enough, we are testing the results of our sins. I call that sinning. Anybody working against nature is the worst sin you can ever do, because it's nailing your feet. It's just nailing your feet onto your head.
Where do you see yourself in 20 years' time?
20 years' time, I want, this is a very ambitious plan that I'm very confident to fulfill. I'm planning, I've started working on my retirement plan. Starting next year, I'm working on my retirement plan for 7 years.
And you're 27 now?
Yeah, I'm 27 now. So I
have... You're going to retire in 7 years?
I know, 14. I have 14 years left for me to retire. So I'm working for 7 years to fulfill the retirement plan. Then the other 7 years, I go back to my country to be able to revamp, support my team again on running the school, on running the other projects of the school. But in reality, at 41, 30 to 40, between 39 to 41, I'll be in my days of contesting for presidency of my country. But as I'm going to do my studies to a level of a PhD, I'll be planning for my retirement. As I'm going to be studying, but doing a retirement plan.
So you're going to run for the president of Uganda?
Yeah, at the age of 40 or 41.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, but my interest is much more green policies. We have already started working on our agenda of green policies, trying to see which areas to change. We are not interested in criticizing anybody in our country. All the great people have done great things. Museveni has taken us through the war, and we are building bridges across other countries. We are building good relationships. We are supporting other victims of war. We are taking in refugees. We are taking in lots of people in our country. I don't want to underestimate any contribution from our leaders, and I don't want to be a stereotype kind of person who sees politics and leaders, however much they have stayed long, as wrong people.
As
wrong people.
Wrong people.
Yeah, because the stereotype behavior creates an element where you see other people as they don't deserve to be in that position. But when you read, before you come in a place, what was the process for them to be in the positions they are in? So that's a very sensitive matter to discuss, because as my country is leading to election, but I'm very sincere that everybody knows me and my intentions, because I also have a relationship with the government people. I work with them. I try to be, instead of fighting them, I want to work with them. And permaculture doesn't address me to work in the opposition sense. That doesn't address me in that way. And that's why the majority of young people in my country, they are following one of the young people we have, who's a stereotype kind of politician. And that's not what we need to teach the young people. We need to teach them to serve other people, You go out there, plant a million trees, show the people what you can do, than coming out to start fighting, demonstrating, and saying how injustice has done. But in our country, we have peace. We are safe. We have peace. It's a country, yes, as much robbers as we can have. I walk at night to my place. I move to my place anytime. Yes, we have cases of robbery, we have cases of crime, which is America has more crime than Uganda. Germany has more crime than Uganda.
I'm sure Australia's the
Actually,
same.
America is more corrupt. It's the most corrupt country I've ever seen. I have desired to be in America, but I no longer desire to be there. The people of America are good people. The people of America, most of them are good people. But the system of the government, or the system of democracy, the system of the rich people, is compromised.
It's toxic.
Yeah, it's very
I think
toxic.
inherently most people are good. It doesn't matter where they're from.
It's very toxic.
But they're
So
being
I don't
forced to
want
function
people
and
to
live.
listen to our podcast, then they drive it to be a political issue. We cannot discuss issues of economics and we leave governance. We cannot discuss issues of justice for the planet and we leave governance. We cannot discuss issues of poverty and we leave governance. We cannot discuss issues of welfare and leave governance. We cannot discuss issues of investing in education and we leave governance. Because everything is centered on who controls the resources. If someone controls the resources and he agrees to distribute resources fairly to other societies or to other thematic areas of investment, then there is fair growth, not competition. So as people, oppositions or leaders, there is no need to compete. They have to. So our desire to create the competition divides societies.
It does.
So living in a divided society, meaning we are going to continue to grow divide from ideology to our families, to our color, to our tribes. Permaculture doesn't discuss that. When I come in this Bali area and I walk and people want to say hello to me, I stop, greet them. The local people, I pause, we take pictures. I feel very happy. In German, people looked at me. I was going to do a UN duty, a global duty. And when I was asking someone, please, where's the train going to this place? And someone thought I'm begging. So some people have come. There is a lot of, we have a very big job. Change makers, the duty, we are on full-time duty. Permaculturists, we are on full-time duty. It is a big job we have, as we have got to share the tools and have as many colleagues, as many people we can convert to become change makers. It's a big job we have got to do every day. Whether you are having coffee and you have a chance, you preach someone and just share, tell him, try about permaculture, try. There are so many people who have contacted me, telling me testimonies. My students in Kenya, there are so many people who have, my motivation has come from the testimonies of some of my students. So I feel coming to Bali makes me dream much more bigger and get much more hope and confidence that when a time comes and I stand, these very children are not going to be children. They will be the people in the office. They will testify and say, that is possible and we support that. So I'm very happy and I'm not worried of losing because I'm already doing my change. I'm already doing my job. I'm not going to pay anybody to vote me when time comes. I don't need to pay anybody. I will sell the ideology.
So everything you're doing now is working towards you getting to the top
to be able to discuss an ideology of green
and
policies.
share from the top.
Yes.
As president of Uganda.
Yes, I'm going to run as a president. I'll run and nobody is going to stop me.
Will you be the first green president of Uganda?
And I've already working, actually, we are working on a policy with the Parliament of East Africa, which is called Permaculture Zero Free Land. No zero free land. If you cannot use your land in 2 years, you must plant fruit trees. By
Amazing.
law.
By law?
Yeah. So that's the policy we are working on. And after presenting it to the East African Parliament, it's going to be presented in 6 countries.
Amazing.
So that is one of the thoughts I had, that I will achieve it in about 10 years. But it happened recently, when one of the ministers saw substance in permaculture, and he knew my story. He knew my story, and he made sure that I get invited by the parliament.
Amazing.
And that happened just recently before I flew here. It's like early April.
What a journey.
Yeah, so I'm very grateful to be here, and I'm very humbled, and I like to be very humbled. And there are so many people I've learned from, leaders. I listen to a lot of leaders. I try to articulate their ideologies. I try to look into the history of the country. I try to look into the future. And I believe Uganda, as a country, to serve other countries, there is need for collaboration, trying to bridge as much collaboration as possible.
Yeah.
We don't need to go to develop so many new things. We just need to replicate ideas. Go to Bali, see how people do things. We go and replicate and make them fit us. We go learn from different societies. If we come together as the country, or as different countries and different religions, we have the solutions to solve the world's problems. We have them in our hands. Just that our selfishness and ego to continue stay like, I'm an American person. I don't sit on the same table with a black man. I'm an American father. I can't allow my child to be married to a black man. So those kind of small differences are putting us in far distance to achieve the dream of the world. So, yeah.
Charles, it's been epic. It's been 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it's been absolutely amazing working with you over the last week. Obviously, I really have enjoyed sharing knowledge on permaculture practices, but your conduct around the school and the way you engage people and the way they warm to you so quickly, you can sense there's a real love and care for people, and that is what's going to make you an amazing president of Uganda. Thanks for being on the podcast, my friend, and I look forward to continuing to follow your journey.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here because I have not got so much time to stay in places, but it is very nice for me to be in Bali.
It is.
And it has been a relief, a reflection, seeing children. Where there are children is my hope. My hope lies in children. When I see their age and I say this child is 6 years, he has a long way to make it to 18.
Mm-hmm.
So that means I can still do something.
Definitely.
So if he's having 18, whether I'm 40 or 20, I still have a chance to do something. And I'm going to continue to do the work. I'm going to continue to keep the bridge. I would like also to thank the producer.
Yeah, Adrian Tan. Thank you,
Mr.
Adrian.
I'd like at least one
He's
time
stuck
you
with
visit
us.
my country also.
And he's given up his time on a Sunday to
Yeah,
come in today, so thank you.
It is my pleasure. It's my pleasure. It approves your commitment as a change maker. As we have always said, we are always on duty. Whether we are resting, whether a change maker is always on duty.
Well, you gotta walk the walk.
Yeah,
You can't just talk
yeah.
the talk. You know.
People dump the rubbish, you pick the rubbish. If they continue to dump, you get them to pick the rubbish. So it's very interesting. Thank you so much for your silence. Doesn't mean that you are not articulating these ideas, and doesn't mean you can't share them. You are sharing in your own way. So
Thank you, Adrian.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Shannon.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, and the Bali School for being very good. They have taken care of me so well. Yeah. I'm having a good time.
You are.
Yeah.
I can tell.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.